Brilliant. Well, let's get going then. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us online today for this consultation event on the Bruce Grove and Seven Sisters South Tottenham chapters of the local plan. My name is Tim Solomon. I am the manager of the policy, conservation, and design team here at Haringey, and I am joined by Stefan Krupski. Stefan, do you want to introduce yourself just really briefly?
Sure, Tim. Stefan Krupski, I'm the placemaking manager for South Tottenham.
Brilliant. And just before we begin today, a few bits of housekeeping. So this is a public event. We're really pleased that you've joined us here today. Just to note that this session will be recorded and made available for others who were unable to attend. You've all joined as attendees, so your microphones and cameras are off by default, and that's just to enable us to keep the session running smoothly. The format of this webinar will be a 30-minute presentation introducing you to the draft local plan and also to the Bruce Grove and Seven Sisters South Tottenham chapters, followed by 25 minutes for questions. We have a Q&A function in Teams. You should be able to access it at the top of your screen. So if you'd like to make a question, ask a question or make a comment, please use that Q&A function. We'll be keeping an eye on that for questions at the end. At the end of the session, if you do wish to ask a question, please do use the raise your hand function, which you can also see in the top of your screen. What we'll do then is if you're at the top of the queue, we will unmute your mic. You will then have to unmute your own mic before you will then able to speak. So we'll do our best to be able to answer any of your questions today. It might be that some questions will need to take a bit of time to consider. And if that's the case, what we'll probably do is ask you to email us your question, and my colleague Helen will be able to put a post in our email address into the chat if she hasn't done so already. For today's session, we'd really appreciate it if you could focus your questions on the Bruce Grove and Seven Sisters South Tottenham chapters of the draft local plan. We've got a number of other online and in-person sessions to deal with a range of other thematic and neighbourhood chapters. Of course, if we do have extra time at the end of the session, happy to take questions on the wider local plan. Brilliant. And with that, let's get on to the agenda for today. So I'll start off with a brief summary of the what, why, and how of the draft local plan, the structure of the local plan, spatial strategy in various neighbourhoods, before passing it on to Stefan to do a brief summary of some placemaking activities that have been happening in Tottenham and are really exciting. Then I'll return to give you an overview of the Bruce Grove and Seven Sisters in South Tottenham chapters, before questions at the end, and a bit on how you can have your say. So what is the local plan? The local plan primarily is the main planning document used to assess and determine planning applications in Haringey. It does a number of things. It enables us to set a vision for the kind of places we want to live, work, and spend time in. It enables us to plan for our future growth and infrastructure needs, whether that be to enable new employment land, to provide land for new homes that we desperately need. More specifically, it allows us to identify particular sites in the borough that have the potential to accommodate a lot of those new homes, jobs, shops, and green spaces as well as infrastructure. And it also enables us to ensure that the development does come forward is high quality and responsive to our local contexts, both in terms of its design and its sustainability as well. And finally, it enables us to protect the things we really love about the borough, for example, our heritage assets and our natural environment. What it doesn't do is, while it points out opportunities for development, it does not actually directly fund or deliver those new developments itself. So that will be up to landowners and developers to kind of bring forward planning applications on those particular sites. It also doesn't deal with the kind of management of council services. So, for example, street cleaning, housing tenancies, parking and LTNs, although it does deal with the amount of parking that is required for new developments. And it doesn't make decisions on the delivery of infrastructure like schools, hospitals, or transport projects. However, if there are large developments that need to be supported by infrastructure, or if there are existing infrastructure deficits in a particular area, the plan can look to require those sites to set aside land to accommodate that infrastructure or to contribute to the delivery of that infrastructure. I won't go too much into the detail of this at the moment, but the local plan is part of a suite of documents. On the left-hand side, you see a number of the council documents, and we have a borough vision that we adopted last year that sets out a 10-year vision for the borough, and the local plan is a really key document in kind of realizing the aspirations of that borough vision. Beneath that, we've got some placemaking documents such as Shaping Tottenham, Shaping Wood Green. Stefan will talk a bit more on Shaping Tottenham in a moment. And the other thing to note is that we have a kind of a wider framework of planning documents, which include the London Plan, the North London West Plan, and the Highgate Neighbourhood Plan, as well as the existing suite of local plan documents that we have at the moment. So why a new local plan? Well, local plans are required to be reviewed every 5 years. Our existing suite of documents, which you saw on the previous page, and include a strategic policies document, a development management document, a site allocations document, and a document specifically for the Tottenham area called the Area Action Plan. So that comprises our existing documents. And since then, we've had a lot of changes. We've had new national policy come in. We've got a new London plan that's come in, another one on its way. The borough has declared a climate emergency, and we've got a growing housing crisis and emphasis on health and well-being, particularly in a post-pandemic environment. We've also got opportunities that we want to realise. So we see this plan as an opportunity to consolidate that suite of documents into one, hopefully large but easier to kind of understand local plan. So that means that all those documents that you see at the top of your screen there will become one new local plan. It's also an opportunity for us to capitalise on things we've got coming up, like being the London Borough of Culture in 2027 and hosting the Euros in 2028, as well as addressing some of the big challenges we face, like climate change and the housing crisis. It takes a long time to develop something as large and important as the local plan, and we started this process back in the winter of 2020-21 when we set out to consult on our first steps document, and that was to consult with the public before we'd even drafted anything. It was just to get initial ideas on what we thought was important for us as a borough, and what the opportunities are, and what are the kind of issues that we needed to address. And since then, we've been working on pulling together quite a detailed and thorough draft local plan, and that's where we are now at this consultation that's started in October, is running through to December 19th. It really is your best opportunity to engage in this plan making process at a relatively early stage of the process, but a stage at which we've laid out a lot of the detail. Following this, what will happen is we'll take your feedback and we'll use it in addition to any further evidence-based work that we undertake to develop a proposed submission version of the plan. Now, that is the version of the document that we're looking to take to an examination. Before we go to that examination, we'll be consulting on that proposed version, and your feedback will be presented as part of that engagement as part of that examination process. And we look to submit and hold that examination in the summer autumn of 2026. The examination will be overseen by an independent inspector who will choose some people who have made representations to come and present or be part of that examination process. Through the examination process, the inspector may identify and recommend some major modifications to the plan. If that's the case, we'll go out again and consult on those modifications. And then finally, the inspector will make kind of a recommendation as to whether the plan is sound and can be adopted, and it'll be up to the council to then adopt that final document. And we hope that will take place in the winter of 26, more likely 27. So how is this new local plan structured, or the Strath local plan? It's split into 3 parts. So in part 1, you have a kind of overarching vision for the borough. What we've done this time is we've also tried to define what placemaking is for Haringey, and I'd really encourage you to read that kind of opening part of the local plan. We've looked to kind of set out 3 overarching objectives which inform our approach to placemaking, and that is kind of a healthy and safe borough, a sustainable and resilient borough, and a fairer borough. We've also got a spatial strategy, which I'll talk on a little bit in a moment. And then underneath that, there are 2 separate kind of areas, one focusing on different neighbourhoods, which I'll go into in more detail, and also a range of thematic or borough-wide chapters which deal with topics such as housing, climate, transport, heritage, design, a whole range of topics there. So this is our spatial strategy for the borough. And what we've done here is we've taken a look comprehensively across the whole borough to try and identify sites which, or areas in the borough which have real opportunities to undertake positive change and placemaking in that area, but also have opportunities to accommodate those new homes, employment spaces, infrastructure as well. And what we really wanted is those opportunities to lead our choices and to frame our choices for areas that are appropriate for development. There are 2. What we've done is each of those areas of where there are key placemaking opportunities, we've called them placemaking focus areas, and they are separated into 2 separate categories. One is transform, and those are areas where we think that there are the greatest opportunities for change and placemaking, and can accommodate the largest amount of those new homes, jobs, and infrastructure. And we expect to see the most change, essentially. So you've got sites there like, for example, High Road West and the stadium site in North Tottenham, where council has got very ambitious plans for the regeneration of that the estate, and also Tottenham Hotspurs have ambitious plans for development around the stadium, both of which have planning approvals. Also Tottenham Hale you'll see on that, which has long been an area of transformation and is kind of midway through that process of transformation. We also have areas of enhancement, and those are areas where there are kind of more moderate and incremental changes than is anticipated. And so you see a lot of the High Road corridor on there. Obviously, there's a lot of really important heritage along that high road, and so we expect the change that occurs along that high road to be conservation led, more incremental, but we also believe there are opportunities for that development to enhance the historic environment, to create a more vibrant and engaging and safe high road for residents, businesses, and visitors. And again, that's the kind of approach we're taking, looking at the opportunities and then identifying how development can realize those opportunities in the enhanced areas. I think it's fair to say that enhanced areas are drawn quite broadly, and they can accommodate areas which have like parks, for example, where the benefits or the funding that is received from development can be used to improve nearby assets. Okay, so the borough is split into 11 different neighbourhood chapters. Today we're focusing on the Bruce Grove, Seven Sisters and South Tottenham chapters. I think just important to say that these are not new political or statutory boundaries. These are just for the purposes of providing more detailed guidance in the local plan. And each of these neighbourhood chapters are split or contain their own neighbourhood vision. They contain one or two neighbourhood policies. They also identify what those placemaking focus areas, whether they enhance or transform. And each of those placemaking focus areas have their own strategy, their own initiatives to support placemaking, and there are site allocations that are identified both within those placemaking focus areas and a few outside the placemaking focus areas. Site allocations, as I said, are those opportunities, those key sites with opportunities to accommodate development. It's where we want to provide some more detailed guidance to make sure that the development comes forward on those sites as appropriate. I won't spend too much talking about this. I guess it's just to show that there's been a long process of planning for the Tottenham area in particular. The local plan is kind of the key statutory document that defines what placemaking is and sets a placemaking framework. And Stefan will now talk about Shaping Tottenham, which is a non-statutory document, but a really important document for ensuring that we're working together as a council and a community to realise not only the placemaking aims that are to do with land use and development, but some of those broader aspirations as well. So on that note, Stefan, I might pass it on to you to talk briefly about Shaping Tottenham.
Sure, thank you, Tim. So Shaping Tottenham, if you go to the next slide, Tim. Yep. So Shaping Tottenham, it is a 10-year placemaking strategy for Tottenham. It sets our shared vision for Tottenham as a place where communities can thrive, a local identity and culture are celebrated, and everyone benefits from an inclusive growth and opportunity. So Shaping Tottenham, how we came to this is through development through what's called the Tottenham Voices engagement. So it's just doing extensive outreach within the community to collect feedback, to have consultation sessions, workshops, and this would be built and put upon people's lived experience, local priorities, and partnership working with our voluntary sectors. It sets a shared vision to guide long-term action across our neighbourhoods in Tottenham, and aligns programmes, local improvements and services across the 5 placemaking themes. If you go to the next slide, Tim, thanks. So the 5 placemaking themes, this essentially is, distills from our engagement and consultation. The objectives for Shaping Tottenham over the coming next decade. So this can be identified as the first one being about identity, culture and representation. So this talks about Tottenham's history, its energy, creative talent, how we would shape a strong inclusive identity that amplifies community voices and strengthens its draw as a destination. We have strong and resilient communities, which will strengthen connections across generations and cultures in Tottenham, supporting a fair, more resilient Tottenham where residents feel more represented and supported. Our third theme is around health and sustainable neighbourhoods. So we will create a whole life environmentally sustainable neighbourhood that promotes good health, connections and access to quality homes and spaces. And then we have a 4th theme, which is about safe and welcoming. So this looks at tackling crime, antisocial behaviour and keeping Tottenham clean and inviting. And then our 5th theme is around inclusive and prosperous economy, where we will work with partners to build a more inclusive, resilient local economy where business can grow and thrive and where our residents benefit from rewarding well-paid work. Next slide, Tim. So Shaping Tottenham neighbourhoods, these are broken down into the following. So you have the North Tottenham, which can be summarised as an international destination for sports, culture and entertainment. And that's where we're looking to take this neighbourhood towards over the coming years. We have Bruce Grove and Boardwalk Farm. Bruce Grove principally in the retail heart, where there's heritage and the heritage. Obviously, we have the Tottenham High Road Conservation Corridor, which runs up the entire length of the High Road, and community infrastructure. And then we have Tottenham Hale, where we have the growing town centre for enterprise, production, creative economy, and obviously where a lot of our housing growth is currently being delivered. And then we have Seven Sisters in South Tottenham, where we are trying to build upon existing assets and draws to the area, which and what we're trying to secure is a cultural gateway, an international food and market. So this is looking at sort of Seven Sisters Market. Yeah, and then Tottenham High Road, where we have the cultural and commercial corridor across Tottenham. Next slide, Sim. Thanks. Okay, so just to give you a summary of some of the recent works and improvements and what we're delivering across Tottenham. So in October, we had the launch of the Seven Sisters Market. This was the market that was previously in the Ward's Corner building at Seven Sisters, if people are familiar with the particular location. That was closed during the period of COVID due to health and safety issues and other issues related to the Ward's Corner building itself. So what we've obviously worked with our colleagues and partners to bring forward a Seven Sisters Market, which has now brought back those previous traders and has secured 20 indoor and outdoor market stalls, and that was open in early October. Another project we delivered in Bruce Grove is the refurbishment of St Mark's Church. So this was a restoration of its Art Deco frontage, improved entrances, lighting, signage, and new community space. Reinforce its role as a community hub for commercial activity, because this includes 5 shop fronts that front onto the high road as part of the St Mark's Church, which we were able to restore and reinstate those historic features. Then we have Bruce Grove Public Conveniences. The former public conveniences, and this is the Victorian former public loos that's located on Bruce Grove Road. So this was a asset that was on the Heritage at Risk Register with our partners Historic England. It has been renovated and significantly improved and extended to have a new lease of life, to be operated as a new cafe, and it also includes sort of community space and other sort of a social value lease that accompanies that to help support activities with the local community in the area. And our new tenant moved in just recently, and that was opened in October as well.
Thanks, Stefan. I might just cut you off there, just so we've got enough time to get through the chapters, if that's okay.
Sure.
So this slide is just a little bit of a summary of some of the feedback we received as part of the First Steps engagement. Obviously, there have been other extensive consultation campaigns which Stefan's team have done, including Your Bruce Grove and Shaping Tottenham as well. So I won't, again, go into much detail on this. This is the vision for the Bruce Grove. The full vision is available to read in the chapter itself. This is kind of an overarching, our overarching kind of strategy for Bruce Grove. So the area can look to accommodate over 400 new homes. There are ambitions to preserve and enhance that rich heritage that exists in this part of the borough. In terms of the district centre, there's an ambition to diversify and broaden the range of town centre uses within the district centre, while still maintaining its position as the retail heart of Tottenham. Bruce Grove as a neighbourhood kind of sits quite strategically in the heart of Tottenham, so there's really those opportunities for enhancing those strategic connections through this neighbourhood for pedestrians and cyclists in particular, and also in improving connections to existing green spaces and realising opportunities to create new green and public spaces where possible. The High Road Corridor is one of the placemaking focus areas in Bruce Grove. It is an area that we've identified as appropriate for enhancement. So again, not that comprehensive transformation, but enhancement. And the opportunities here include infill, retrofit and redevelopment to again diversify the offer for the town centre and support new independent businesses, workspaces, leisure uses. It's an opportunity to redevelop the council car parks that are along the kind of eastern side to the east of the high road. Also opportunities as part of that to accommodate more homes in this kind of well-connected area, and also to protect and expand the Holcombe market. Heritage is a big opportunity for this area, so we really want to encourage that conservation-led redevelopment, or development rather, and a focus is on kind of restoring those shop fronts. We've got the Bruce Grove Shopfront Design Guide that was published recently, and also there are a number of kind of buildings along the high road that have been identified in our conservation evidence documents as being kind of negatively contributing. So there are opportunities, particularly for those ones, to refurbish or redevelop them to better contribute to the character of the high road. And lighting is also a big opportunity to kind of really highlight and celebrate those key heritage assets. In terms of the public realm, there's a real need to create a strategic network of side streets and public spaces around the high road, and those developments of the council car parks could provide an opportunity to really realise that and create a much safer environment along the high road corridor. In addition, there are opportunities to create a new public open space at the Cloud Garden site that was recently given kind of a planning permission at appeal in principle to, with the principle of residential development on part of that site was accepted. And what we've done is added a site allocation to ensure that if development does occur there, it results in the creation of a new public open space and improvements and enhancements to the biodiversity values of that site. The historic Bruce Castle Historic Quarter, I won't spend too much time on this one, but there's a real opportunity there to enhance the historic environment, really improve that prominence and visibility of the castle and the buildings within the park, and to provide for new workspaces and retail units near the castle, particular opportunities in that development along the roundway. You can see it there, SA11, part of which is already, I think, almost built now, if not already built. And in addition, there's opportunities to really improve the public realm around that area and provide kind of safer and easier access for pedestrians and cyclists, particularly around those roundabouts. Broadwater Farm is part of an ambitious kind of council placemaking project. So the council has planning application, is in the process of delivering 300 gross and 50 net new homes in that area. Beyond that, there's an opportunity for additional retrofit and redevelopment in the future. There are ambitions to activate and really improve the ground floor experience on the estate and to enhance the public realm to create a more coherent, safe and easy walking and cycling routes through the estate, establish a new community park in the heart of it and reduce car dominance. Move on to Seven Sisters in South Tottenham now. Again, briefly just seeing the feedback that we received as part of First Steps. The vision for Seven Sisters of South Tottenham is to really deliver on the aspirations in shaping Tottenham and to enable it to be that cultural gateway to Tottenham and celebrate and partake in its reputation for international food, world-class events and activities, and its vibrant evening economy and its kind of rich and diverse history. These are there are a number of placemaking focus areas in Seven Sisters. I've listed some of the key ambitions there, but I'll go into more detail in each of these placemaking focus areas. So for the district centre, and it's the Seven Sisters West Green Road District Centre, the ambition is to support a wider range of town centre uses. And that's really grounded in this ambition. We've got the temporary market now, which is amazing, but the long-term ambition is, of course, to create a permanent market there and a community hub at Wards Corner, delivering on the ambitions of the Wards Corner community plan. It's such a well-connected part of the borough, and there's an opportunity to really develop that evening and nighttime economy, particularly given its connections through to the stadium to try and leverage the crowds that come on match day. In terms of culture and heritage, it's got a lot in the area, and we're really looking to focus on that targeted kind of shopfront signage improvements, ensuring that sense of enclosure that you really get and that vibrancy along on West Green Road is maintained and enhanced, and to celebrate the kind of the cultural diversity and the long history of innovative Black enterprises along on West Green Road. The public realm is, as we know, a big challenge for this area. You've got some busy roads around it. So a real ambition is to create that sense of arrival and that gateway into Tottenham and have a more cohesive and kind of coherent public realm that kind of fits together and provides not just spaces to walk through, but places to eat, relax, socialize. And that the movement into this district centre across those roads is really improved in terms of safety for pedestrians and cyclists, and also advocating for TfL to make the station step-free and address some of the overcrowding challenges we have there. Tottenham Green, we're identifying as a cultural quarter in the new local plan, and there's a real ambition to strengthen its role as that kind of cultural ecosystem. You've got a lot of really amazing cultural institutions there. You've got the kind of leisure centre, the library, a number of colleges and schools, and I guess there's this area you really can marry that up with this long civic history and these amazing heritage assets that we have. So a real ambition is to encourage more coordination between these different institutions to ensure that the Tottenham Green is more well used, and with cultural and community activities, and try and create a enhanced public realm that kind of connects up all these different kind of educational, cultural facilities east of Town Hall approach, and connects it into the wider area as well. Oops, I've gone down to, yes, okay, here we go. Seven Sisters and St Anne's Corridor. The biggest opportunity here is really Gourley Triangle, which we've identified as a transform area. So there's an opportunity to develop that triangle site. It's a long-standing ambition to create a new residential neighbourhood there with new homes, with new employment spaces, and in particular to encourage the kind of cluster of creative activities that exists there, and also to protect and enhance the industrial heritage. There's some buildings there that kind of have some value and contribute to the character of the area, and can ground any new neighborhood in terms of positive character. There are also a number of other kind of infill, intensification, redevelopment opportunities along this corridor, including at the Frederick Messer Estate, which has a planning permission as well. And then there are a number of, you've got the Tiverton and Stamford Hill school sites. So those are school sites where there's no longer a need for those schools, and the council is still at a very early stage of going through that process of just establishing those schools and deciding what the next steps are. So essentially what we've done in this document is have a placeholder for those sites, and at a future stage of plan making, once the council has gone through that process, we'll have more detailed proposals for those sites. Broad Lane, Page Green Terrace, and the Ragemore Industrial Estate. The main ambitions here are really intensification of those employment uses, support for the creative industries and that food and beverage production that exists there as kind of sectoral strengths. And also celebrating and enhancing the amazing historic green spaces that we've got in the area, and improving connections through from the district centre, from the high road, through this exciting industrial area, right through until to kind of Markfield Park. South Tottenham is an area where there's an opportunity for gentle intensification. One of the key things we're looking to do is with Prater Hook in the local plan to explore opportunities to expand the area covered by the South Tottenham Housing Extension SPG. That SPG has been in place for a while and is allowed to accommodate the needs of large families in the area through kind of upwards extensions. So we're looking to explore opportunities to expand that through future design codes and more detailed work. We'd also look to encourage and provide for new and improved community facilities in the area, and also there are opportunities for infill and redevelopment along that high road corridor. West Green Road corridor. The ambitions here is completing that transformation of Lawrence Road into a medium density and mixed use neighbourhood. It's almost complete now. There's only a few sites left to go. Again, probably less change anticipated in this area. But some of the key things to pull out are the role that the West Green Memorial Garden plays, that kind of that historic character, and its kind of growing role as this community hub for the area. There are also a number of estates in the area where there are opportunities to improve the character layout and safety of those estates, and to enhance the role of Clyde Road as a key east-west active travel route.